Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bloomy Brain podcast, where you come to water and nourish your brain, in turn seeing your mind, body, and spirit bloom. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. Everybody welcome Megan Pearson.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I am so excited. We've been talking about this for a while, and we had a great meeting about it. Yeah. We literally talked for over 5 hours, not even joking.
Oh my God, I cannot believe how long we were together. And it was so nice to kind of just really fully be immersed in your story and everything that brings you here today and invigorates you to keep going and inspiring others. And I love the energy. It's the first episode that I've done where the light is still out because of the time change. It is officially spring, and spring is so symbolic in that it represents new beginnings, rebirth, and just all things light and future focused. So I'm excited to be here with Megan today and have her share her story with you guys. And like she said, we met in a really crazy way. She had reached out to me over Instagram. And I usually turn my phone on Do Not Disturb around like 8 or 9 p.m. and try to refrain from getting on social media past that time to just really like watch the blue light and get better sleep. But around 1:30, like 1:30, I think it was, when I looked at your message and responded to you, I got like a slight little inkling to go through my message request, and I see her message on there, and she shared part of her story, and I just was like, oh my gosh, this is for a reason. Like, we absolutely have to meet. You need to be my next guest on the show. Like, can you do it next week? And here we are.
I know. I'm so thankful. Well, I reached out to her because I do have a really big story to tell, and I have done newscast things and stuff like that, but a lot of people don't know what extent what I went through, really, how it affected me, affected my family, how it still affects me to this day. So I wanted to be really open, and then I felt like this was such a comfortable space to really be myself, and I just felt so comfortable telling my story and speaking with you for so long. We instantly got that connection, and I was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm meant to be, you know?
Yes, exactly. Sure. And I love that you felt that, because the feeling was certainly mutual. And I'm just so excited that this is your first ever podcast. You're a little more than a year out from when the incident happened. And I think that your story and the energy that surrounds you to this day is just something that needs to and should be heard across the world to inspire millions of people, potentially even billions, you never know. And, you're so young, like finding out that you were my youngest sister, or you are my youngest sister's age, that pulled on my heartstrings even more, just to see like, wow, you are so strong, and to continue to persevere and look at this for that it happened to you for a reason, and you have incredible takeaways to share. I'm just so excited to have you on. So let's get into it. Why don't you?
I'm so excited.
Tell maybe start with your childhood and how you said that you had previous issues in your childhood leading up to your illness.
Yeah. So I've always had lung issues since I was 5 years old. I went to the hospital the first time when I was 5. After a fireworks show. It was the 4th of July.
Wow.
And so my parents like rushed me, and I had an asthma attack. And that's when I figured out that I had asthma. So I've really been struggling. I mean, I've had inhalers. I've had every single medication like to help with asthma ever since I was 5. So it's definitely not something that was just brand new to me. It was definitely, I've experienced a lot of asthma attacks and struggling with breath and, stuff like that. But
so when, everybody was first kind of made aware of COVID-19, and they said that potentially people with asthma, amongst other conditions, would potentially be more at risk, I'm sure that was scary for you to hear.
Mm-hmm. When I heard about it, I was definitely, I had a ton of anxiety about it. I mean, I stayed in, I was one of those people, I was like, I'm not leaving my room. And so, especially during quarantine and everything. I eventually ended up getting it for the first time. I would say maybe, 2020, 2021, around that area. And I got it and it wasn't bad. Like I, just felt like I had the flu. So then after that, I was like, you know what? I know what COVID feels like. I know I can handle it. And then I felt more comfortable like going out and stuff like that. But yeah, it was scary at first for sure.
So leading up to the incident, when you had COVID, when did it start to take a turn? Was it long haul? Was it a little bit after you had COVID that this?
Yeah. So I know where I got COVID. I was in Augusta, and my whole family got COVID, and we were all kind of in it together, and I just could not kick it. I mean, I was struggling for so long, the entire month of January up until the beginning of February.
Yeah.
When everything happened. So I was struggling for a long time. Shortness of breath, intense pain in my lungs. I could not catch my breath ever. Up until the day that everything happened. I mean, I was struggling for a while.
Yeah, yeah. So at what point did you start to really think, okay, wow, this could be serious. I might need to potentially be hospitalized? Yeah.
So it didn't really hit until I would say the beginning of February. I realized I was so sick. I could not leave the bed. Like I could not leave my bed. Going to the bathroom was a whole issue. Like I could not walk to go to the bathroom, shower, didn't eat. I was stuck in that bed. I was in so much pain that TMI, but I would use the bathroom. Like I couldn't hold it. Like I was just focusing on the pain.
Yeah.
And for days this happened. And I just remember sitting in that bed, and I was with my partner at the time. And I just remember like leaning over, wheezing. I feel like it's such an intense pain. I can't even begin to describe what I felt. And yeah, up until everything happened, I just kept pushing through and being like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. I'm definitely one of those people. I'm like, it will get better. It will get better.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And, so sorry, voice crack, but yeah, it didn't get better until my roommates at the time, they were like, Megan, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go. We're calling the ambulance. Like we're calling. And I was like, no, guys, like I promise I'm going to get better. This is just something, I'm going to overcome it. But I didn't. And they were amazing. They called the ambulance, and it's kind of funny. I actually declined the ambulance.
Yeah, and you mentioned that to me, and just because there are going to be so many people across the world viewing this, for those of you that don't know, in America, a ride in the ambulance can cost upwards of $500. Usually it can be like $1,000 a mile. So typically a lot of us, even me in my most recent car accident, we try and shy away from riding in the ambulance unless it's absolutely necessary. So is that kind of what you were also trying to like, okay, this is last resort. Like I don't have to go in the ambulance. Like I'm fine. I'm going to pull through.
Yeah. Again, I had that mindset of like, I will get better.
Yeah.
I like had that feeling in the back of my head. I shouldn't go because like, what if I go and then I wasted everybody's time, and I wasted a ton of money, and I just needed like a breathing treatment. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that. I needed to go. I really did. It's not normal to sit in your bed and not be able to breathe, to go to walk to the restroom, to eat. It's not normal. And now looking back on that time, I'm like, holy crap, Megan, like, why did you not go? Why did you not go?
Yeah.
So I declined the ambulance, and which I didn't know this at all, is basically the ambulance, once you decline it, within 24 hours, they send a wellness check person. When I tell you he was my guardian angel, like he walked into my room. I had no idea that he was coming. He walked into my roommates let him in, And I saw him and I was like, I need to go. I need to go to the ambulance. I was like, take me. And my dad was there. My partner at the time was there. My roommates all saw me. And when they came to do the wellness check, they didn't bring a gurney or anything like that. And I was living on the 3rd floor of my apartment. So they literally threw me over their shoulder and carried me down those 3 flights of steps out of my room. I mean, I was in my pajamas.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything after that. All I remember is him throwing me over his shoulder, and then I blacked out. So.
Oh my God. So he was not taking no for an answer. He's like, no, you're coming with me.
Yeah. I mean, like, the more that I think about it, like, I would have died there. I was fighting death.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, I would have literally, that would have been my last day. And it's crazy to think about that because I just can't believe that I let myself get that bad for stupid reasons, for really stupid reasons. And I just can't believe that would be it for me. You know?
And I think so many people can relate to that because it can be scary to go to the doctor. It can be a hassle. And not to mention, it can just be hard when you're feeling that bad to work the energy up to go.
Yeah. And my parents would keep saying, like, I love my parents, and they knew how bad I was off, and they kept offering. They were like, well, let's go to the doctor. Let's go. I was like, I can't walk there. I don't, he has to come to me. Like, I was like, it's okay, but like, I'm going to get better. Like, I just kept avoiding the whole walking down the stairs, which is horrible.
Yeah.
That I couldn't even do that, And
oh my gosh. But I mean, it makes sense. Sometimes I don't even, want to walk 5 feet in my own home when I am feeling good. So I can only imagine how it felt when you were feeling that bad.
Yeah.
So you black out. You're going down the steps. They don't have a stretcher for you. You're being carried down. It's the last thing you remember. And you make it to the hospital. And you told me that you are out from this moment on for the next 2 weeks. And you mentioned being a Jane Doe for the next 2 to 3 days. You weren't even Megan Pearson you were, but you know what I mean? Like how that probably just felt like such an insane thing to find out after. Yeah.
So I had no idea that I was Jane Doe during that time. So basically, since I'm over 18, my parents had power of the attorney or just something that they had to identify me. I mean, I couldn't talk. I was literally in a coma. I mean, I was like, I couldn't speak or identify myself. I had no ID on me, so they couldn't do that. They just picked me up in my pajamas and threw me in the back of an ambulance and in the back of the ambulance, put the ventilator in. I mean, they were saving my life, for sure. But being a Jane Doe, I look back on it now, I'm like, it's just crazy that you can be unidentified and be in this situation and nobody knows who you are, but they're still willing to help you. And I love that. And I'm so thankful for the nurses for that and for the doctors. And so basically when I went into the coma, basically what they did is they put a ventilator down my throat, which opens and closes your lungs. And so they had to put me into a medically induced coma, which allowed the ventilator itself to open and close my lungs because my muscles were fighting against that. So they basically had paralyzed me. And so I was laying there paralyzed, fully dependent on a ventilator for 2 weeks. Yeah. And during that time, I didn't see anything. I heard songs, and I love, we were talking about, I love Fleetwood Mac and I love Dolly Parton.
Yes.
And she's my idol. I absolutely love her. And, so my parents knew that. They were like, is there any music? Like the nurses, they were like, is there any music that she would like to listen to? They were like Fleetwood Mac radio, Dolly Parton radio. And it's crazy because that's the only thing I really remember from that time.
And I can't begin to wrap my head around like getting to actually speak to someone in the flesh that has been in a coma and actually remembers hearing things throughout that period of time. And so do you remember hearing people talk as well?
I didn't hear anybody speak to me, except when I woke up. And waking up, it's not like the movies. I was telling her, like, a lot of people, when they think of somebody going into a coma, like, there's a lot of movies and they're like, you woke up with superpowers and stuff like that. No, I woke up, I was paralyzed. I was in so much pain, ridiculous. I remember I didn't know where I was. I thought it was in a dream. Like I you know, when you are in a dream and you know it's not real, but like you feel like it's real, and
like a fever dream.
Like a fever dream.
Felt so crazy.
It was crazy. And so when I woke up, I remember like looking, and I had the ventilator down my throat and everything. And keep in mind, this was 2 weeks later. So I was literally paralyzed for all that time, and hadn't moved. And so I like remember turning and looking, and this nurse was like, Megan, do you hear me? Megan, do you hear me? And I was like, and I remember like shaking my head because I couldn't speak. Sorry, voice crack. I couldn't speak because I had the tube down my throat. So,
oh my God. And then coming to awareness of like, oh gosh, like what's this feeling? Like something's in me right now. Wow.
I know. So my parents, I remember seeing them, and I saw them, and I was like, they kept like touching my face, and like they were kissing my forehead. Like my mom was like, Megan, we're so glad to see you. Like we missed you. And I was like looking at them. I was like, is this real? Like, where am I? Like,
oh my gosh.
And my parents, like, I don't really remember this. I was on a lot of medication, but I just kept asking my parents. I was like, what did you do to me? Because in that situation, I had no idea. Like I just blacked out. Yeah. And I woke up 2 weeks later in a small room and paralyzed. I couldn't move. Like, I assumed the worst. Where you were. Yeah. I barely knew where I was. So, I jumped to conclusions for sure and thought that I was in hell. I thought that this is what I get for lying, and I was like, I kept saying to my parents, I was like, why are you guys doing this to me? I'm a good person. I kept saying that. I was like, I'm a good person. Why are you doing this to me?
Oh my God. For your fight or flight response to justify to whomever is putting you through this, which in your case, you thought that it was your parents at the time. Yeah. That is mind-boggling to me, to like actually think that this was your body's defense. Like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? And it's heartbreaking to think that your parents had to see you this confused too, but like keep strong for you, and just breathe through it and pray that you get through it as well, and knowing that you would, now that you were awake and everything, and having faith in that.
Yeah, I think that they were just so happy that I was alive. Yeah. They were like, you could say F you to me and I would not care.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah, so I admire my parents so much, because I can't imagine your own daughter thinking that you hurt them, and you can't explain to them and be like, I didn't do this. Like, you're just sick. You're really just sick. And so, I mean, the mental strength for them, I can't even imagine.
Oh, and just like how blessed to have you back, like, and how blessed you were to be back. I mean, you told me that you coded how many times?
Twice, over a couple weeks. So, the first time was obviously with the ventilator and all that. Second time, I was getting a bath, my first bath in weeks. And
oh my God.
Yeah. And so what they do is they basically, one of my good friends calls it Swiffering. They basically take a wet wipe and wipe you down. That's a bath. So they had to like shift my body and move my body because I was completely paralyzed. So
yeah.
And a nurse, I mean, God bless her, literally, she had no intention of doing this, like, but all this fluid just started rushing to my lungs.
Oh.
And I remember sitting there and I was kind of conscious of where I was. And
you were still out though at that point?
No, I was awake at this point. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So I remember this, and I remember I was in so much pain. Like your lungs, you're suffocating. You're literally suffocating by your own bodily fluid. And that's what was happening to me. And I remember looking at the clock on, like there was a clock in my room and like a board, basically saying what I was here for and blah, blah, blah. And I remember looking at that clock, and when the best way I can describe it is like when you're doing a plank and you feel like the minute is like so long.
Longest minute of my life.
The longest minute of your life. And I remember looking at that clock. I was like, oh my God, I'm literally sitting here dying. And it just felt like forever. And I eventually blacked out because they were injecting me with everything and, saving me.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful, but it kept me in the ICU for a longer amount of time than the doctors had hoped. And I'm not even joking. They were going to send me up to another level of the hospital the next morning. So I'm so thankful that was in the ICU at that time. And that happened because if I was in another part of the hospital, they wouldn't have known how to handle that. And I can't even imagine like what else would have occurred. So, it's crazy, like thinking back at those times, and I get nightmares. I definitely reflect back to those times sometimes. And again, I can't imagine like having a kid and watching this. Like,
yeah,
I just sympathize. I'm so like, I admire my parents so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally.
They're so strong, and you're so strong. And to share your story, it's just incredible. So even hearing it again, I know we talked the other day, but just like hearing this again, and honestly, we didn't talk about this question, but this just like kind of naturally came up, and I'd really love to know, because I think that in the day and age of technology and social media and, this compare game mindset or keeping up with the Joneses mindset, it's so easy for anybody, humans, but especially females, to want to compare things that they're insecure about. We all have things that we're insecure about, but having this near death, and technically death experience that you came back from, you coded twice, so yeah. I don't even think I'd call it near death. When those feelings ever arise, do they even? Are you just so happy to be here that you're able to completely like detach from the things that used to perturb you or weigh you down?
Yeah, for sure. I am so thankful to be alive, like you said. I guess the cool thing is that I know what death is like.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to like say, but it's true. And so that's, kind of cool.
I kind of can't believe this.
I know, right? And I can't believe it either. But we're women. We all experience insecurities. I definitely did in the hospital. When I was really like, I didn't look like myself.
Yeah.
When I was really insecure. Like my parents would bring photos of me so I can remember who I was, which is kind of crazy to think about that. Like I didn't even know who I was,
Yeah.
And I remember like them putting it in the room, and I'd ask the nurses to take it down because I just couldn't believe I was like so healthy and like so happy in those photos.
Yeah.
And here I am like laying in a bed, and it like chokes me up thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I can't even begin like to explain looking in the mirror after seeing yourself, like after everything you've been through, Yeah. I was so skinny. I was anorexic.
You said you were eating like they're feeding you only 5 calories a day.
I know. I was on a feeding tube twice. By the way, feeding tube, awful. literally so awful. I can't even begin to describe what it feels like. I was sick all the time, nauseous all the time. It was painful. It was really painful. And it's the most uncomfortable feeling the tube down your throat. Like it's just so uncomfortable in your nose because I went in my nose. They would inject medicine into my nose as well. It was the only way. I mean, when I was on a feeding tube twice because the ventilator messed up a lot of my throat and my vocal cords. So this is why my voice sounds super raspy and I have a million voice cracks, is because I'm missing half of them. So I like, basically what happens is once you're off the ventilator, you have to go straight on a feeding tube because I couldn't eat anything because everything would go straight down into my lungs. I couldn't differentiate air and water and food. So my throat basically was like, everything's air. So if I were to eat something, I would choke and die, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And so they were like really careful. And so I had to go through like weeks of swallow therapy. Like, it's crazy to think about that. There's literally something for everything. Not even joking.
No, seriously. Like, I would not have even known that that existed. Swallow therapy. That's literally crazy.
It's a thing. And like, they would give you like mouth exercises. I know it sounds
like
so
face
bad.
yoga,
like face yoga, and like saying certain things, and building muscle back. Cause I literally lost all my muscle. I lost all of the muscle in my throat, and as well as my body, because that's what paralyzed me, is I lost all my muscle. And I remember, I have photos of it. My entire body was covered in bruises.
Oh my gosh.
Because all the medicine that I was on was killing my muscles. So I'm not even joking, like my entire arms were black and blue.
Oh.
And I was like, I remember finally like gaining consciousness, and then I like looked at my arm and I was like, oh my God, like something happened. Because again, like I still didn't even know what had really happened. I just knew that I was here. And like, I'm literally, it's crazy.
Yeah. Blessed to be alive.
Literally.
And I mean, that's what you said to me, that you really wanted this episode to be about, and your general theme moving here forward as an individual in life is just this theme of like, I'm blessed to be alive. So did you start to feel that like when you woke up, or when you were moving? You said you graduated to another floor.
So I left the ICU, and it was literally amazing. All my nurses were there that had saved my life. And I can't even begin like to describe the feeling of, keep in mind I was still paralyzed, but the feeling of leaving.
Yeah. Because
I almost felt like this relief that like graduating, I guess, this relief that I can make it. I'm not in this situation anymore. I'm not here. I've done it. Like, I've literally made it.
Yeah.
So I went to the 7th floor, which is basically like, they monitor you. It's like ICU, but kind of a step up. So when I went there, I was like, holy crap. Like, I did it. Like, it was such an amazing feeling. And, I still remember it to this day. And my grandparents were there. My little sister was there. My parents were there.
Oh my gosh.
And, I remember them being so proud, and I was so excited because in the ICU, you're not allowed to bring like flowers or anything in there, like any extra bacteria. They don't want to risk it. So when I got to my 7th floor, that was when I had a window. I could see outside. I couldn't see outside for like weeks.
Yeah.
And all these flowers were in my room.
Oh,
and for weeks, I mean, people sent me flowers from everywhere, from literally all over the US. I mean,
wow.
Everyone knows how I love flowers. Like, I'm a big flowers girl. Like, I've always been. And so I feel like everybody kind of knew that. And so all the nurses were joking. They were like, it's like a flower shop in here.
Oh.
And also another thing is the smells of flowers. It was so, almost like brings you back into the present moment, like being like and calm, like the smell of flowers instead of like medication, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like hand sanitizer, because I smelled that every day, but it made me feel at home as well, you know, like made me feel more comfortable. So
I'm sure it was very grounding to have that little piece of nature inside of a building. And I'm assuming you didn't leave out for weeks, like probably 3 weeks by the time you were released until you got to breathe the outside air again?
I was definitely in the hospital for like, I was almost like a month in there. And I remember I was still in a wheelchair, and my parents, we got like a doctor's note that my parents were able to push me in the wheelchair and bring me outside. And surreal moment. I will always remember that. Like my little sister, I have a video, and my little sister pushed me, and like just feeling sunlight, air, literally. I can't even begin to describe, like, it's the little things. And I say that every day. It's like being able to feel sunlight, being able to sit outside and feel the breeze. Like, it was amazing. Like, oh my God. And I was so sick. And again, like going outside, and especially like not being in that lighting and in that setting brings life into you. And seeing life, like, oh my God, I hadn't seen other people besides my family. And so, and nurses and doctors, you know? So, so going outside and like seeing people enter and leave. And I mean, and like like moms coming in to like deliver babies. I mean, it was just like a TV show. Like, it was awesome because I had missed out on all these things. And it's crazy. Like, and I remember sitting there, and I couldn't go on Instagram and stuff like that for a while. And I remember sitting there and just, I couldn't believe that people's lives were still going on while I was there. Keep in mind, I was literally unconscious for 2 weeks. And I just couldn't believe that life was still going on.
Yeah. Like you get taken out of it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the world continues spinning, and I can't even like wrap my head around it. It's just all so wild to me. And I know that you sitting here today, it feels wild, and to, you know, be able to tell your story. What do you think, you know, the purpose of this happening? Where do you think you will go from here? And what would you like to accomplish with this being your story now?
Yeah, so I started a fundraiser with my little sister, and we raised $27,000 to supply.
Girl, my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I'm really thankful for everyone that donated. I can't even put into words. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Like, I was so lucky to have that. The Amazon Alexa in my room. I mean, and to remember those songs, I'm so blessed. And the sad thing is, like, I was one of the few that had those in their room. And when we heard that, like, and it just broke my heart, because a lot of people pass in the ICU. And I mean, I'm so thankful that I was in that room that had the Amazon Alexa, because a lot of people pass and all they hear is beeping. A lot of people pass alone. And so nurses will put music on for certain patients so then they can pass peacefully. And that's just such a blessing that we, you know, nobody should be in that situation. And I hope no one ever experiences what I experienced, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it ever does, like, having that little bit of comfort, I just can't imagine not having that. So my sister and I created this fundraiser so then we could fill every room in the hospital with them.
That's incredible.
And I mean, it's like little things. No, well, thank you. But it changes lives. It really is the little things that have such a big effect. So we created that. I mean, we were recognized by certain news channels as well. And we don't want to stop there for sure. this was just a small, our hospital, our local hospital. I wanted to give back to the hospital that literally saved my life.
Yeah.
But I want to do it everywhere. I mean, that's the ultimate goal is I know I'm here for a reason, and, whoever is above or, God or whoever brought me back into this world for that reason is to help other people. And I know that. And I want to make sure I use this opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to still continue on with fundraising for hospitals. I am super excited. We're going to
incredible.
Do a guardian, it's a guardian angel pinning for everyone that was on my medical staff. We're really excited about that.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's tomorrow, right?
I know. I'm super excited.
Your week is like jam-packed full of just giving back. And so you're on the right path and right mission.
Look, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
I love helping people. I love talking to people. I love hearing people, listening to people.
Yeah.
And I want to use my story to motivate people, to inspire people, to help others. Because again, we could all be in that situation, in that critical situation.
Yeah.
And we all need to take advantage of our lives, what we have in front of us, live every single day, giving back and doing everything as if you were to die tomorrow. I definitely put that into my life. I make sure to work out and keep my body healthy. I'm very proactive with health.
Yeah.
I always joke around. I take so many vitamins a day. I have a list of vitamins I send to my friends.
Oh my God, me too, actually. We need to share these lists.
Yes.
I'm a vitamin fiend.
Yes. So I'm like, guys, you need to take this. You need to take this. Go do this.
All the things.
I know. It's a way to show love for sure. It's out of love. And I'm sure for the same reason. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, I mean, literally live every single day like it's your last. Travel, literally travel, meet other people, expand your network, go ask for what you want. There's so many things. And another thing I want to talk about is we were talking about insecurities with women and stuff like that is, a lot of the time growing up, I didn't do a lot of things, because of how I looked. That was my biggest regret. I wish that I had gone back in time. I would be well, I can do this when I'm skinnier. I can do this when I have my hair done. I can do these things. No, literally live in the moment.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Don't put your life on hold.
Don't. Literally, I regret that so much, relying on how I looked, and that was my confidence to do things.
Yeah. And I mean, that's so profound, because beauty is fleeting, and none of this technically is real. It's what's inside that's real, and it's what's inside that's carrying your message along to give back. So I love that you say that. And you also mentioned you just have a better judge of character all in all now, and you're able to weed out toxicity from your life, and you don't have space for people that don't serve you.
Yeah. I have a funny story. So I told her, one of my nurses, I was on so many medications, keep in mind, and some of the medications I was on make you kind of angry. Keep in mind, I had no idea where I was too. So I just assumed that everyone was here to hurt me. This girl, one of the nurses, she was helping me. She was literally saving my life. And she was putting masks and stuff like that on me, trying to suck, mucus and bodily fluids out of my lungs. And I hated her because I was all I associated her was with pain and putting those masks on and stuff like that. So I was sitting with my mom and the nurse, and I literally turned at her and I said, I hate you. And she literally looked at me and she said, fine, I don't need any other friends, but I'm going to save your life.
Oh my God.
It was so, I was like, you know what? Actually, I kind of like her now.
Yeah. You're she stuck it to the man.
I know, right? I was like, she's literally saving my life. And here I am saying
she don't care.
She does not
care. It's her job. She ain't here to make friends.
So to this day, I have that same mindset. literally, I care about people so much. But I'm not here to make friends. Like I want to help people. I want to make friends, obviously, but if you don't like me, I'm still going to be nice to you.
So be it. Yeah.
Literally. And so I remember that I was like, she's kind of a badass. Like here she is. I'm literally saying I hate her.
Yeah.
While she's saving my life. And I just really admired what she said.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's cool to think too, like the interpretation of love comes in so many different shapes and sizes. And I always say, like, we were created in the eyes of love to love, and her version of love in that moment was to save your life. And even though that meant pain, so it came with a negative connotation, like that she still was, you know, giving that love. And then when you felt it, that like, I don't care if you don't like what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing this to save your life. Yeah. You know, that's cool that you had a different perception. Like, okay, wow. Like, you know, she's not just doing this just for any old reason.
And another thing is I'm a really good judge of character. All my friends are like, do you like this guy? Or like, do you, and I'm like, if I say no, literally run for the hills, because I'm probably right.
I'm going to start calling you.
I know, right? Like, please do. And, you know, I definitely lost a lot of friends during this. I realized who my true friends were. I had a partner at the time, and he was really unfaithful to me during the entire time. And I had no idea. And, I mean, he would come and visit me and bring me flowers and talk to my family. And the whole time he put on such a good front that he loved me and wanted to be with me and was there for me. And the whole time he was not. And leaving that, I learned a lot of lessons. I keep telling my friends, I'm like, be with someone who you know you want him at the hospital with you, him or her, you know, if something were to happen, would you want this person to be there for you? Again.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. And even in friendships too, do you think like, you know, pick your friends. Would your person, like would this friend be there for you no matter what? And, worry about you, you know, it's just something that I always keep in the back of my mind. I'm like, is this person really here because they love me? Or is this person here because they want to feel like a good person and be there, I guess, like, you know, but not really. And, so I learned that lesson for sure. Especially in relationships too, who is right for me. And I know I'm deserving of all that as well.
You absolutely are.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
You are too. Every girl is deserving of someone that will be there for them.
Yes. And I think that young girls just in general have so much to gain from this, because that is so huge. As you were saying, like, be with someone that would be there for you in the hospital, that you would want to be there with you. I can think of just so many instances of people that I've dated that maybe I wouldn't want there with me in my younger years. You know, very superficial relationships. So I think that tragedy sometimes in turn makes us crave more depth, and I can definitely see that from you. And that's, I think that a lot of people, it's nice to listen to this and hopefully not have to go through anything that makes you realize, and
for sure,
you know, use your message to inspire them now to make these right choices and be a good judge of character and want to give back and live every day like it's their last.
Yeah, I've definitely been that person, and I want to be that person to help others. I keep saying that, like, I want to help others. I want to be that person that my friends can call, and I feel like I am, and I'm so grateful for that. And again, I'm so thankful that this happened to me, and I know that's so crazy to think that you would be thankful for all this pain, everything I experienced, every surgery I went through. But I am. It taught me how, like, it just opened up so many doors for me mentally. I left a toxic relationship. I I grew closer with my family. I created a charity. I'm giving back to people.
Yeah.
I've accomplished every goal that I've set out. I mean, one of my goals was to be on a podcast, and literally look where I am.
Here we are.
And so, I would do it again. Yeah. To bring my family as close as we are right now.
Wow.
To have the friends that I have now. To experience everything that I have. I mean, I've traveled, I've gotten amazing jobs, amazing opportunities. I can't imagine who I would be with, where I would be if this didn't happen.
Had you not have been, experiencing this and now turning your mess into message or pain into purpose. And you are such a dream, such an inspiration. I just cannot thank you enough for being here today. Before we close out, I want to ask you, do you have one thing that maybe sticks out the most that you would like to leave the audience with and just close out your first podcast with something sweet and special?
I believe in you. If you're listening, I think you are amazing. I believe in you, and I know you have so many amazing qualities, and I want you to live your life to the utmost that you can. If you were thinking about traveling somewhere, I'm going to look into the camera. If you were thinking about traveling somewhere, do it.
Yes.
If those friends are not making you happy, if that relationship's not making you happy, leave. Life is literally too short. Life is too short. You're so deserving, and use your life for good. We're here for a reason, whatever you believe in, help others. You are strong. You're amazing. I believe in you.
Oh, thank you so much, Megan. You speak so beautifully and so eloquently. And I hope that you guys all listen to that. If anything, rewind 1 minute and listen to it again. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Pearson, episode 19. Do you want to share your Instagram handle or anything like that with everybody?
I'm at Megan P. Pearson. Look for me. I'm public. Follow me on Instagram.
I will add it in the description of all of this.
Yes.
But thank you again so much for being here today. This was an incredible episode to kick off spring of 2023. So thank you again. And everybody, until next time, stay bloomy brained.
Bye.